15 minutes, 95th to downtown. I-57, Bishop Ford, both 11 minutes, I-80 to the Verge. Northbound Lakeshore Drive, it's now 13 minutes, Marquette to Monroe. It's heavy approaching Roosevelt. I'm Jim Talamonte. On AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. In our AM 560 Weather Center, cloudy, shower in spots today. Looking forward to a little bit of rain, breezy this afternoon. I-71, cloudy and mild with a shower in the area overnight, low 64. 59 at O'Hare. Next news at 8. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
From the Matrix Home Solutions studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer.
Listen to AM 560 The Answer online at 560theanswer.com, on the AM 560 mobile app, on your Alexa-powered smart speaker, and on TuneIn, iHeart, and on Odyssey.
Mike Manokin runs the Democratic House floor for 30 plus years running. He's promising this and he's stealing that. Where can you get that kind of money? He's using your house like his own piggy bank. You ought to know by now. You can pay off your house here in Illinois, but you can never keep up with the taxes. Oh, how it's always been the plan to have a taxpayer pay, no doubt. Not a matter of if anymore, but when. You're moving out.
Dun, dun. Dan and Amy, good morning. And that intro music means it's time for our weekly conversation with Ted Dabrowski, president of Wirepoints.org, where you can find news and commentary on all things policy-related in Illinois, economic policy particularly, but also cultural and educational. And we talked about this in the 6 o'clock hour, the continued onslaught through the prism of anti-racism on the curricula of K through 12 school systems. Vodi Bakum has a good piece in New York Post. He's a Christian minister. He's got a new book out called Fault Lines. If you're not familiar with him, you should get familiar with him. He's very good. And he writes about being one of those black voices that is being silenced by those, including those running your kids' schools, that sort of person, that profile. He writes, I'm a descendant of slaves and a child of the Great Migration, but anti-racists will tell you I'm not really black. I suffer from internalized racism, they insist. I'm trying to curry favor with white people, they say. They dismiss me and other black nonconformists as sellouts, traitors, or Uncle Toms who are skinfolk but not kinfolk, as the saying goes. And a lot of people have made the comment that the church that anti-racism is being treated as a religion. He makes the better point about this religion, in quotation marks. It demands a blind faith. It is punitive, for it is a religion without grace. That's the key point. Not just the comparison to a religion, but the contrast to the major world religions. It is a religion without grace. And he also goes on to say, anti-racism and the woke priesthood are targeting not merely the wrong black voices. They're coming for all of us. You might acquiesce to their demands today, but they will continue to demand more and more of you. Your official statements will not be remorseful enough. Your reparations packages will not be big enough. Your diversity initiatives will not be diverse enough. You cannot appease the God, small g, of anti-racism. And so we have that here in Illinois through the culturally responsive teaching standards that we've discussed, and that school districts are now acting in furtherance of. And Ted Dabrowski wrote a bit about that recently. Ted, thanks for being with us again. Appreciate it.
Good morning, Dan. Good morning, Amy.
So Hinsdale District 86, which I mentioned earlier in the program, but bears repeating, is a good example of the consequences of what Vodi Bakum is writing about.
Yeah, these equity hires and equity programs have, it's surprising, but they've been going on for years. It was just kind of under the radar. Now it's, of course, over the radar. Everybody can see what's happening. What was striking about the Hinsdale hire and the $115,000 they're paying for this equity instructor is the level at which it's going. Now, it's not just about education, but the new role is to make sure that's infused in the curriculum and gets to the kids. And that comes in stark contrast to what I was on the WTTW interview opposite the executive director of ISB on teaching and learning, and she said that the standards are for teachers, not for students. And we were told by them and by ISB directly not to worry. This is not about schools. It's not about curriculum. It's not about kids. Well, we know that's not true precisely because of the programs they're putting in, the people they're hiring. They are doing this to push the critical race theory and as far down as they can. And we know what's in that language. We know what it means, and it's not simple education about differences between us. It's much more of an indoctrination that we know about.
And as we've been saying here ad nauseum, so all the conversation and the fight is about getting kids back in person learning. But that's the beginning. Now you have to deal with what they're actually being taught that you should be well versed in since they've been, in Zoom classes. You should see it. There's enough stories now, too. You should know. But that fight, just because you recognize it, just because you raise it as an issue, doesn't mean that they're going to relent. This story out of Texas is interesting. Guy Midkiff, South Lake, Texas, where they had this big fight at the Carroll Independent School District there over critical race theory, and the recently concluded local elections saw the anti-racist, real anti-racist candidates be victorious. Those that were opposed to this critical race theory indoctrination, this treating kids differently in class based on their race, they won by landslides. But that doesn't stop anything. This coalition that was put together to push this race hustle went after Midkiff and his posts on social media, asking American Airlines why he is employed at American Airlines as a pilot. And he was just posting his views on social media. Now, American Airlines said that his comments demand that we take a closer look, and there's an investigation into this American Airlines pilot's postings on this controversy in terms of the school curriculum in South Lake, Texas. And this is one of the things people are concerned about, not just implications for their kids if they speak up, but implications for them professionally when the mob comes for them.
Yeah, I mean, this kind of goes back to what you and Amy have been talking about a lot, which is we have to have so many people speak up that they can't, the canceling attempts fail because there's got to be enough of us on our side saying, wait a minute, we want better race relations. We want our kids to be, the good people that we want them to be across the board. It doesn't matter what people's color are. But when you get these classes that are teaching, and again we're back to the the culturally responsive teaching standards in Illinois. They want the lesson taught that our schools are systems of oppression. And there's the oppressors and the victims right there in the classroom, and it's a failing thing. And you look at you just look at Evanston. I think if you want to find the most direct language, in one of their analysis of the school district, they say it's a white supremacy is what dominates. Early on in their document, it's not a way to teach our kids, and certainly when you look at the results of the schools where whatever it is, 2/3 can't read or write at grade level, we're focusing on the wrong thing. We got to make our kids successful by making them be able to succeed with merit and competence, not because they're woke.
Ted, I wanted to ask you about next year. I'm concerned about remote learning. Barrington community, they're having a school board meeting tonight, but in March they surveyed, the parents, and 25% wanted remote learning. Then they did a follow-up, and only 4% are willing to do remote learning. And it's they're looking at 3 different plans. They have some remote learning, some in-person learning. Do you ever think we'll see a time ever where it's just in-person learning and no options for remote learning? Because if you open up that door, then people who don't want to socialize with other people, they'll come up with some excuse not to go back to school. So hence, we'll never get back to normal.
Well, maybe normal, Amy. This might actually be good because right now we were shoved down our throats this remote learning, and it didn't work for most people. And remote learning is only good for some people, not for most. But what we know is that the current model is broken anyway, right? We didn't like the current model before the pandemic, so the fact that we start to think about remote learning or different methods, how about this, different ways of learning and different approaches, that might help school choice. It might help bring down the cost of universities. So, the silver lining in all this is that eventually we learned that, what we need to learn is that the school district shouldn't have all the control and tell us what to do. But in the meantime, we do need to get back to normal. I agree with you. I think in-person learning should dominate, will dominate, but you're still going to have people who are scared, and the press has done a really good job of scaring people. That's why some people still want that remote learning.
Well, the Illinois State Board of Education is poised to vote on requiring schools to teach in person next year.
Good.
But also make accommodations for those who do not qualify for in-person learning. Do not qualify. It's interesting language. It seems to me that that is going right to the issue of backdoor vaccine mandate. And so you don't qualify if you're not vaccinated, so we're going to do separate but equal schooling for those who either cannot get vaccinated because of health or religious beliefs, or who choose not to. The parents choose not to vaccinate their kids because, there's no risk. They don't need to. That's their view. That's my view, but it's certainly not the eduocracy's view. That's going to be really interesting if you have parents choosing not to vaccinate their kids and being forced to have their kids at home remote learning rather than in the classroom. Yeah,
that's going to be the next big issue, I think, and it's kind of related to Amy's question. What's fascinating is if you look at the data, right, 88% of the deaths we've had in Illinois have been people who are 60 or older. That's where the virus dominated, right? And then you look down at the younger ages, you only had 18 kids, or 17 kids under the age of 20 who died. So it's really an older person disease. It's not a young person disease. And the good news is the vaccinations, we've got up to 86% of the people 65 and older who've vaccinated. So the right people are being vaccinated. So we're reaching a point where the right people are vaccinated, the kids aren't at risk. We should be able to open up schools without a problem, without the requirements for vaccination proof. It's going to be our big battle, and that's the battle we need to have. We've got the data, again, data and science is on our side that you shouldn't be forced to, one, to get a vaccine, two, to prove your vaccination status. But, of course, we know that their science and data will try to push for some kind of proof on vaccinations.
Sticking on the education front for a second, these are the kind of stories that I view with a incredibly jaundiced eye. All hands on deck, teacher shortage in Illinois. You know who says there's a teacher shortage in Illinois? A survey of the Illinois Association of Regional Superintendents of Schools. Right. So those interested in adding to their ranks are being surveyed about their essential desire to add to their ranks. But this 2020 survey, 77% of school districts across Illinois reported they have teacher shortages. 93% of school districts report having a substitute teacher shortage. And the numbers are worse, according to the survey, in the less densely populated areas of Illinois. Is there a teacher shortage in Illinois?
I don't know the numbers. I don't know the precise answer to that. You hear that all the time. I would think that the reality is there's got to be a huge pool of potential teachers. And part of it is how we license teachers, open up the licensing. I could be a teacher tomorrow. I'm not certified. I've never taken an education, curriculum. But, I could teach about finance. I could teach about all kinds of things. And of course, I'd be happy to get training on how to be a teacher. But I think there's enough market out there for people to come to the classrooms and help our kids. So I worry less about that and I worry more about some of the mandates that you're putting on teachers, and also the fear they put into teachers for being in the classroom. That's another thing that's impacted the supply of teachers.
He is Ted Dabrowski, president of Wirepoints, wirepoints.org, all things Illinois fiscal and cultural policy related. Ted, thanks for joining us as always.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, and he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer.
Your show keeps me alive during the week. There's nobody I'd rather listen to between 5 and 9 in the morning than you guys.
On AM 560, The Answer.
Hi, break time?
I know you.
I'm Cologuard, a prescription colon cancer screening option for people 45 plus at average risk. It seems like you take care of yourself.
I do. I play tennis. I try to eat well.
What about screening for colon cancer?
Not yet.
Don't wait. Colon cancer is more treatable when it's caught in early stages.
Tell me more.
Cologuard is non-invasive and is used at home. It detects altered DNA in your stool to find 92% of colon cancers.
92%?
Yep, even those in early stages.
This was seen in a clinical study with patients 50 and older. Any positive result should be followed by a diagnostic colonoscopy. False positive and negative results may occur. Cologuard is not a replacement for colonoscopy in high-risk patients. Do not use if you have had adenomas, have inflammatory bowel disease and certain hereditary syndromes, or a personal or family history of colon cancer.
Most insured patients pay $0. Ask your provider or an online prescriber if Cologuard is right for you, or visit requestcologuard.com.
I'm on it.
Excellent.
Boost your energy level and try Balance of Nature. Yes, doctors say to get enough sleep, exercise, and eat a well-balanced diet, and that will help boost your immune system. Doctors that have been on this very show. And just admit it, because you're not eating enough fruits and veggies on your own. And that's where Balance of Nature comes in. 6 capsules. You're getting 10 servings of 31 different fruits and veggies. And if you've ordered your fruits and veggie bottles, you'll see that they have new packaging. You can see each and every fruit and vegetable that you are consuming. No dyes, no preservatives, gluten-free, GMO-free, and it does make a difference. You don't have to have that extra cup of coffee in the afternoon. So experience the Balance of Nature difference for yourself right now. Free shipping and 35% off your new preferred order of fruits and veggies. 800-246-8751, 800-246-8751, or simply go online to balanceofnature.com. Discount code Chicago.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them.